So hey guys, I am back with another video today. We are doing what if Naruto had all the Biju or all the non-Biju in Naruto. And I decided in a different route so I don't mess up everything that goes in it, because if I gave Naruto all the Biju, then there will be only one person held down, and realistically the Akatsuki wouldn't have to prepare for much. So I decided to do something different than other people do and give bullshit excuses. They just won't know Naruto has the Biju, and you'll find out how they wouldn't figure this out and how they wouldn't know. It'll coming up very soon, so watch the end and enjoy. So in the past, we go to Hashirama after he decided after he gathered up all the Biju and was about to sell them to other nations. This is where Tobirama advised him that what happened if they decide to gang up on the Hidden Leaf Village when you die? Hashram, you have to understand that eventually, like every mortal man, you will die. Hashirama thought about this and realized Tobirama was right. Yes, that he will have a long lifespan, but it after he dies, then what? What's stopping the other villages from grouping up on the leaf and destroying it? Honestly, Hashirama doesn't have any faith because he sees no potential right now. And Hiruzen, the only person he sees potential in is Hiruzen at the moment. But even then, that's limited. So he hasn't up an idea. He goes to the field where he was keeping all the Biju, and he gathered the One Tails. He went to the hidden sand and gathered the One Tails, and he's extracted a good amount of portion of their chakra. Not much that it'll be detrimental, but also not just a little bit. He gathered all it up and separated it in seals. And over the course of his life, until he realized that he no wanted to fight anymore, he channeled both his normal and sage energy chakra into the two. Unknowingly, well, he was originally trying to strengthen the seal to make sure it didn't just pop out at one point, but if ever needed, he wrote it down in the scroll. If ever needed, it will be in the central compound. But unknowingly, what he was doing was creating basically new Buju. With the six powers, the six powers that he doesn't know he has, being Ashra's reincarnation, he was able to build back up the chakra using the six power sage that's inside of him, or Ashra, the inner Ashra's power that's there. But I digress. Naruto Hashirama then passed away at some point or the other. Because in the original story, we don't know when he passed away, so I'm just gonna say I'm not even gonna mention it or how he did it. It's just don't mention it. A few years passed after that. The Kyuubi and everything up to Naruto's leading to Naruto's birth happens the exact same. Nothing changes until this night. Naruto was looking through his window, the window of his home, his apartment, the only place he's known to be safe in this entire village. Because on this very day, he knew that something just felt off. Although it being his birthday, something really wasn't clicking for him. Until he heard a knock at his door. Thinking that it was the Hokage, he ran up to go and open it to greet the Hokage, but he didn't greet the Hokage. Something happened. Something happened. Something happened. Wait a sec. Something happened. Sorry guys for the inconvenience. Something went wrong and I had to go do something. So Naruto left saw that there was a man with a torch and a butcher knife in his hand. Naruto didn't want to figure out why he was there or didn't really want to know who he was, but his first instinct was to start running. So that's what he did. He ran to his bedroom trying to close the door, but the man caught up before he could get in, and he sliced at Naruto. Naruto successfully dodged just by a shred of luck. The man grabbed him and forced him out of his house. Naruto kicked and screamed, asking someone to help him, but no one helped him. No one wanted to help him. He looked around and he saw people with smirks and an evil glint in their eyes. Naruto was scared, afraid for his life. Who wouldn't be? Naruto kicked the man in his knee, forcing him to drop him in pain, and Naruto scurried off, running and not looking behind him, and for some reason a glint of speed just hit him and he started running even faster. Some people even couldn't see him. Naruto ran and ran and ran until he found a door. He hit a door and he didn't know what this door was, but he tried pushing it and pushing it and pushing it, but nothing would happen. Naruto eventually tried banging on it until it opened and then closed right behind him. The place was dark. Naruto calmed down and looked around into the place that he was, and the place was dark. It wasn't really noticeable. It was just dark, and there was just a long hallway leading down, and he could see houses on the sides, and it was basically the central compound that has been used in years, so it's just laying there. Naruto walked slowly down the path until he saw a shrine. Well, it wasn't obvious. You had to be looking for it, but it was in a shrine behind this big house that he couldn't get into. He went around and he went to the shrine and he tried forcing at it, but it wouldn't work until someone pricked his finger and it suddenly opened. Naruto opened the door and saw a barrel. No, not a barrel. It looks like a gourd. A gourd. He looked at it, inspecting it, and then he opened it. Naruto suddenly went. Then the place suddenly went dark. Naruto felt himself going unconscious. He felt like he was in water, but also wasn't at the same time. And then he opened his eyes to see a yellow and a red figure, but as he saw them, as they disappeared, Naruto fully got up off the ground and looked around, but he didn't see the yellow figure anymore. He just saw destruction. Utter destruction, and the old man looking at him. Naruto really didn't understand what happened, but he looked at his old man looking for explanation, and old man had a worried, but there was something else that he couldn't identify, but it looked like fear. But Naruto couldn't understand. Why did the Hokage fear him? What did he do? We time skip. Naruto's in the exam room doing the normal tuning exam, or not the tuning exams, but the Genin exams. He tries to make a clone, but it just wouldn't work, and the events with Mizuki still end up happening. Naruto goes into Hokage's office and knocks him out. He did in canon, and he grabbed the scroll of sealing. Naruto realized he had a scroll in his pocket from the homework that he didn't do, and he took it out and he looked into the scroll. He saw Hashirama, Tobirama, Hiruzen, and Minato. These were jutsu from all of the Hokage, or the known jutsu. Naruto looked at the ones that he thought were cool. He on the second Hokage he found Shadow Clone, or Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, and he also found Ever Expanse and Paper Bombs. He also wrote that down. He went to the third, thinking there would be very cool jutsu there, but the only thing that he could see was multi shadow kunai shadow clone jutsu, and he wasn't disappointed, but he asked more until he saw flame ash breath jutsu, and he wrote that down. He went to Minato Namikaze, and he found Flying Raijin and Rasengan. Rasengan didn't sound really cool, so he didn't write it down, but he thought the Flying Thunder God, or Flying Raijin really sounded really cool and really interesting. And then there was another seal, there that he tried to open the normal way, but it wouldn't work until he got frustrated, and one of the edges of the paper cut him, giving him a paper cut, and some of the blood spattered on the seal with another scroll. Naruto pocketed the scroll and decided not to put that back. And he then saw on the second Hokage's paper about he saw something about sword techniques, as in I can't remember what the sword is called, but if you don't know, from one of the fillers, the second Kage has a lightning sword, basically, that can make rings of lightning that could either slice you in half or capture you. And the sword is purely made out of lightning, so it can cut almost anything. So that's what he saw, and he also saw a scorpion under that showing where it is, or a thing that could track it. I just wanted to make that very clear, so I don't have to explain much after it, because I don't like explaining shit, as you know. So the event with Mizuki happens the exact same, after that. So we'll just skip to the point where Naruto goes off back to his house. As Naruto was walking home, he remembered the two scrolls that he took. The one with the jutsu on it and the other one. Naruto took out this other scroll that came from the fourth Hokage. Well, him being his favorite Hokage, obviously wanted to see it, and he took it out and opened it. Naruto started to read it. Dear, dear whoever, this is Minato Namikaze. In events that something happened, um, I, I want to say something. A few years ago, when my team was on a mission, Rin Nohara was pronounced dead. Well, technically that is false. She was pronounced dead because of the hole in her heart, but that the Biju started to heal her after a while. But if she would kept, if she wouldn't have the ability to heal because of the environment that she was in at the time. So I decided to seal her and wait to the Three Tails fully heals her, and in the case that something happens, I leave a map to where I hit her just in case. Naruto realized and saw the map and decided that since this is probably the last legacy of the fourth Hokage, being the irony that he is technically the last legacy of the fourth Hokage, he runs towards the place on the map. It takes him a while to find out where it is and how to get there, but he eventually does. It's a shrine, a big one, but it's also kind of run down. There's broken wood and multiple other bad stuff that looks like it happened to it. Naruto enters the shrine until he finds a gourd. Something reminding him of that one day where he got unconscious and he doesn't know what happened. But he shrugs this off and goes forward into the shrine and opens the gourd. And a puff of smoke relieves a naked Rin Nohara. Naruto blushing the naked woman for the first time and grabs her and takes off his jacket to give to her and waits for her to wake up because he just doesn't want to move and not knows that she's okay or not. But he can see the hole in her chest. Well, a little scar that is there. It's not much, but it's a little scar. Kind of the size of a small X, actually, now that he thinks about it. No, Naruto looks at her for a while, realizing that she is quite pretty, but shrugs us off, saying that he is loyal to Sakura, and that there's nothing in the way that can get in the way of that. Naruto keeps waiting until he feels a twitch. He looks down to see Rin open her eyes and him looking down at her. Rin is confused. We switch the perspective of Rin Nohara. Rin Nohara remembered just she felt so cold before, like an empty void of space, until she saw a light. Until she saw a light, and this light was bright. It was beautiful. Her eyes focused on a yellow bunch of hair spiked up to the air and blue eyes. At first she thought it was her sensei, but it wasn't. This person was a lot smaller, looked a lot like her sensei, but obviously wasn't. Naruto looked at her with a smile and says, "Guess you're awake, aren't you?" Naruto Nohara got up, realizing realizing there was a big breeze under her, realizing she had no clothes under there. And she tried to cover herself with anything she could find close until she realized there was something around her. And when she focused more clearly, the boy had on no shirt, just the mesh undershirt. Realizing that she had on the boy's shirt, she looked down and saw a hideous orange jacket, but she felt so warm in it. Although it looked hideous, it was really comforting. When she looked at this person, she realized the smile he had on was just like Minato's, and something clicked in her. This is his son. He is the spitting image of him. She said under her breath, but she decided not to jump to conclusions, and she has to figure out this for herself later on. She asks him who he is, and he says he is Uzumaki Naruto, and this it gives even more proof that he is Minato's son, with she knowing Kushina personally, and knowing her last name. But she decides also to still not jump to conclusions, because this could all be a big coincidence, and he could just be from the Yamanaka clan. Well, a lot of people did think Minato was from the Yamanaka clan, and he was a kid too, so it wouldn't be a coincidence. Naruto looked at this girl and said, "Hi, my name is Naruto." And she looked at him and said, "Well, my name is Ren." Naruto smiled at her and says, "Let's get out of here. This place is kind of creeping me out. I only stayed here because I wanted to make sure you were okay." She smiled and nodded her head, and Naruto gripped her up bridal style and ran into the night. This blue and purple button did, because, well, he was given it not recently. He pushed it, saw Zeno, and Goku explained what happened and happened to the original timeline, with everyone there hearing of it, with Trunks and them being sad that their time is completely erased. It makes them so upset for them. Guys, wait a second, please. So, hey guys. I'm sorry for the inconvenience just now. I needed to change something. So, Naruto grabbed her by the skull, jumping from tree to tree, and it was very reminiscent of when Minato and Kushina first met. Naruto eventually made it to his house and got in through the door and told Rin that she could sleep on the couch until he finds something to do with her. And Rin thanks Naruto, and goes into Naruto's room and sleeps in Naruto's bed, and Naruto sleeps on the couch. After a while, Naruto's sleeping. He hears one of his tiles creak. He doesn't mind it and thinks Rin is just over it. He's in the kitchen and he felt something against him. A pair of chest boots, he noticed. Not he's ever touched any, but it just has this weird instinctual feeling that he knows what that was. Naruto kind of opens his eyes to feel that Rin is on him, cuddled up next to him, gripping tightly. Naruto decides not to move her off and just go to sleep. Naruto fades off into unconsciousness. Naruto was in a wet place. Well, wet place. His body, his lower half feels wet, but his upper half just feels warm. He gets up and opens his eyes to find, and he can see a brown, blue, red, a brown, blue, gray, red, white, yellow, pink, and orange figures surrounding him. When the blurry fades away, you can see the Biju all around him, and the only one that's not surrounding him is the QB that's stuck on a meteor. But something stuck in a meteor in a cage. It's a weird sight to see, but it's also kind of fascinating. But Naruto's a part of this, but the other Biju has something around their necks. It looks like a collar that has Uzumaki's symbol on it, a chain grasping the collar. Naruto looks around and is kind of scared, but remembers what he is and says, "Are you all the Nine Tails?" All of them look around, and Maratabi snickers until the snicker turns into full-blown laughter and just can't hold it in anymore. She calms down and says, "No, we are not all the Nine Tails. The Nine Tails is the orange furball up there. But Mitsuki told me that the Nine Tails inside of me." Yes, originally that was the thing that happened. But do you remember the instant where you went into the central compound and fainted? Naruto pondered back and remembers it and says, "Yeah, that's the day Gigi became so distant." Naruto looks back at it and shivers a little bit, but tries not to think about it too much. Maratabi's kinda has this regretful look in her face, and she calms down and says, "We are the Biju, the 9 Biju. But there's something weird about it. We are not technically the Biju, because the Biju are still out there. Do you get me?" Naruto says, as in signifying that he doesn't understand what Maratabi is telling him, and Maratabi, this is where Yuki chimes in and says, "I'm gonna break it down for you, kid. You see, originally Hashirama caught us and sold us off to the great nations, but before he did that, he gathered all our chakra and started pumping chakra into the guard that we were in. For some reason, it weakened our bodies, and we not only have the memories of where we were captured, were formed around the Nine Tails attack, where we fully got back our cognitive ability and our abilities as such. But when we were about to escape from you, constantly killing you, for some reason, two people appeared, and we now have these around our necks and are chained down to you. So we all are technically, from what Karama told us, we're now your Jinchuriki, or you are Jinchuriki, our jailer, as you can say. So you can understand why I'm not that happy seeing you, but I also, unlike some people here, understand that it's not your fault, nor do you act for this. And realistically, you wouldn't set us free because, well, I'll kill you if you do. There's no way it wouldn't happen. Naruto is a little shocked, but understands what the gist of what he's saying. Naruto says, so I'm not just the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails, but all of them? All the beasts? Huh. That I don't know what to do anymore. I can understand your confusion. Not really, but I can sympathize with it. Let's sit down and I'll explain everything up to now. But here guys, that's the end of the video. That's where we're gonna leave it off, and that's where I'm going to finish. So probably come out tomorrow, and depending on how I feel about it. I'm sorry about the huge space where I wasn't talking, making the video way longer than it should have been. But we all know I don't edit shit. So also this is an 18 what if, but I'm not doing it for this one because I was. But you can see I pondered on it when I was talking about written, but I decided that this was a little more important than that. So I'll just do it in the next video. Hope you guys can understand and forgive me for that. But without further ado, I'm out.